Today on DNVR Buffs Live, what is the biggest remaining need in the portal? We've got our guy Phillip Dukes on to talk about that and much more. Let's go get it. Let's go.
Squad!
Welcome into the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota Stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. Lots to get to today. Julian in the state title game. Recruits are showing up on campus. This wild Diego Pavia ruling that's going to change college football. We'll get into all that, the portal. But we start with our guy.
Yes, sir.
Phillip Dukes back on the show. A lot's going on. I mean, damn. Class is up to, 8 commits?
Yep.
Since Sunday, I believe. Julian in the state title game as well, as we mentioned. But this quarterback competition is something that is it's going to dominate the conversation for a few months. For the rest of the off-season, honestly.
Definitely.
Is he ready?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
All right, yep, throw it to him. What's
What's up,
my
Dukes?
Yo, what's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
Good.
Good, man. How
What's
are
the
you?
word, bro?
Y'all pretty good, man. A little bit under the weather. A little under the weather. But, I'm out here chugging NyQuil. We'll tough it out.
That NyQuil work, man.
Huh?
He gave it on him.
That NyQuil work, man. Hope you feel better,
power
big
through.
dog.
Let's go. That was honestly perfect timing on the cough there.
Let's go.
All right, Dukes. Kaidon Salter, the big commitment yesterday, signed. I mean, he's ready to go and contribute to this team and just start working with the guys. Just what do you think? You look at this situation with Julian and Kaidon Salter now coming in.
Yeah, I think it's perfect. I think you give both of them an opportunity to compete. I think when you give somebody a job without competition, then it's just like when somebody gets money without earning it. Like you don't know what to do with it. So by being able to have a competition where they can earn the job, you also earn the respect. As college ready as I think that Julian is, at the same time, how hard is it for him to go tell a 23-year-old, hey, you need to, line up properly, or without having to earn that job? Now, you got to think he's not just. You can't just give him a team of adults. There's gonna be some fifth-year seniors on this team, like guys with kids that's married, fiancés. And you mean to tell me you want a 17-year-old to come in and just tell him, hey, he's got the keys. You saw the picture. He's got the keys to the car without having to earn it. No, dog. So I think this is perfect. And if he is the opening day starter, he would have earned it by beating out steep competition. And the same thing with Salter. I think Salter, who has a little bit left to be desired in his college career, came out super highly ranked. Ran into an issue, transferred to Liberty, and now he's back in Power 4 football. I think this is like the perfect blend of veteran leadership with the young gun on the way, where you can set yourself up for success over the next few years in the Big 12.
Dukes, it's good to see you, big dog. I hope you feel better here soon. Obviously, this transfer portal class is now up to 8 additions. What do you kind of make of this group that's already been brought in early on, and who kind of stands out to you as maybe somebody who you think is really going to make a, immediate impact, maybe except for, Salter, who you just talked about?
Yeah, I think Otis was the big one, right? Number 1 defensive player in the portal. Somebody who the year before Kalen DeBoer got to Alabama, played a ton for Nick Saban. And my thing is, if you get enough for Nick, you get enough for me. Last year, whatever went on in Alabama, he wasn't playing a ton. He was one of the guys who took that red shirt early to preserve some eligibility when he realized that he wasn't going to be playing and said, all right, I'm going to the portal. Well, everybody and their mama wanted this kid. He could play offensive line or defensive line. When you see him, he looks 30. I mean, to be honest, I didn't know who he was. When I finally saw him in a picture they were posting. I'm like, who was that dude? Like, oh, that must be an old NFL vet. I'm thinking it might be somebody. I'm thinking, is that the Lance Campbell? Is this somebody I don't know? I don't know how they look. Everybody got helmets on. And I'm like, and then I finally go back and they're like, that's Otis. I'm like, bro, man, look like his first name Otis.
Yeah.
So you got an absolute grown man out there, and I think that was important. But when it comes down to filling in depth roles and bringing in more people, you get yourself a linebacker, you get yourself another rotational player in the defensive line, and the kid Gabriel, I think he's from Fresno State. The linebacker from Jacksonville State looks the part. He's basically what Debo Atkins was, just matured a couple of years. I think they play very similar. You missed on a couple guys. Like I think they really did want Caleb Odom. You did want Debo Atkins. But when you bring in the right guys, you win some and you lose some. But you know that the guys that you do sign are the guys that you need for that class. I think Coach Prime and staff has done a really good job of identifying who they really want. And he had a really good clip the other day saying he was talking about Quentin Gibson, saying that who he really is. He's LeJontay Wester, and he's that speed guy. We've already shown success. So I think you're going to see guys that fit the profile of previous players on this team as they start to continue to complete this transfer portal class. And people keep forgetting, even though you got 8 signed, and this is only the first wave.
Right.
After the spring, they'll be right back in the portal. And Colorado did plenty of damage last year in the spring. So just look to see them continue to because they have they disqualified the spring portal yet?
No, it's a shortened window. It's only 10 days, but yeah, it's sometime in I believe April.
Yeah. So it ain't over, like Kurt Franklin say. So we'll just see it continue to grow.
First and foremost, I've been taking the NyQuil pills when I need them. Do I need to get on just the straight?
Yes, bro. I can vouch. I'm sure Dukes can vouch, bro. The scissor, the liquid is definitely better than the capsules, bro. I can vouch. Honestly, this is what I do. For DayQuil, take the capsules, but for NyQuil, take the liquid, 100%.
Gotta shoot it.
Yeah, absolutely. Take the liquid, man. Take the shot. Especially if you got like some throat irritation. Now you got a nice little burn there. Kind of reminds you like, you might be taking a little Tito's, a little tequila, something like that. So you get a party. It does a little bit of both, man. It's like a party. It's like a mullet, baby. Party in the front business. Business in the front, party in the back. Man. Yeah, man.
I'm dead.
I've been telling Allie that I'm going to grow a mullet after our wedding.
May
It's
as
not
well.
going over
You
well.
look sick with one.
That's what I think, bro. Anyways, as last night we watched a lot of us watched the Georgia State championship game, and obviously Juju was our main focus. But there are some other guys who were really interesting in that game, and I'm gonna blank on his name right now. I told myself I'd remember it, but that defensive player for Grayson, who won like defensive player of the year. Tell me about him.
Yeah, Tyler Atkinson. He's basically like a defensive juju. Ever since he's been playing up his whole life. Grayson has a feeder program where a lot of the best kids in Atlanta go play out there when they're not playing park ball. His dad basically it's almost like I call him Broly. If anybody watches Dragon Ball Z, like Broly's dad had him, like he had this kid with incredible power. And he basically tried to harness that power his whole life. That's Tyler Atkinson. When I saw him, the first time I saw him was 22 in the Under Armour. He was in 8th grade, and he was whooping 4-stars who were in 11th and 12th grade. So now he just continued, and people wanted him to be 6'6", and they wanted to say, how is he going to fill out? Because at first he was playing defensive end, now he's playing a stand-up backer. But it's the same domination. He's fast. I don't know if anybody, if you can go on Twitter, see a clip of him catching a snake with a wild snake with his bare hands. Like he's one of those type of kids. And I think that was his time to shine. They haven't ranked him. He's been the number 1 player in this class forever. And then like now, once he gets a little bit older, people saying that he's not going to be this 6'5" guy. They're starting to drop him in the rankings, and he's taking it personally. And last night on the biggest stage, he just showed why he's the defensive player in the state, in the state's highest classification as a junior. He's got another year to come back and do this. And if there was another kid that I felt like could reclassify or would be ready, he would be one.
Yeah, let's get him to Colorado.
Yeah.
Dukes, we're going to talk about the portal here shortly. Seems like a lot of the best wide receivers are off the board. You know, what position would you say is the biggest, position of need for the Buffs out of the portal right now?
Yeah, I think you can use a wide receiver. Like, honestly, I think you've already got your defensive lineman. I think cornerback, you're gonna be okay. I think linebacker. I think you're good at offensive line just because based on the roster. I think you need that one dependable game-breaking wide receiver. KC Concepcion, like you hope that you can land him and then you have it. But at this point, do I see them going after like if they're going to go after one of those one guys, it's going to be a true one guy. Like they're not going to go use all their resources on a guy who's a maybe or who's serviceable. It's got to be one of those Heisman level, Biletnikoff candidate type guys who they're going to go after. And in the meantime, I think KC Concepcion is somebody who's really, really good. I think you're fighting the best schools in the country. You're fighting Bama. You're fighting, I think, Georgia, if I'm not mistaken. But I know you're fighting Bama. I know he already visited Bama. His list is crazy. And I'm not sure if he seriously considered the Georgia offer that he got. But I don't think he took a visit to Georgia. I know he took one to Bama. But, yeah, he's the guy right now that has you on pins and needles to see if he'll choose Colorado. But just having that one game-breaking guy at wide receiver after the loss of Travis Hunter and all of those guys, what's my man, One Hand Willie, he's not coming back. Basically, the entire East-West Shrine Bowl at wide receiver is coming from Colorado. So I think that you do need one veteran guy to come back and pair with what you already have.
Back to the high school ranks real quick, Dukes. Somebody who picked up an offer from Colorado this week, a 2026 guy, the number one athlete, I believe, on some recruiting sites in the country, Brandon Arrington. I believe you're familiar with him. Actually, I know you are. What can you tell us about, this young man and, how big of a get potentially he could be for the Buffs?
So I got on to him. So one of my nephews in the city is Maurice Glidden Jr., who plays for Langston Hughes, who Colorado took a look at, but a lot of schools were just worried, was he a true wide receiver? Okay, long story short, I say he's the fastest kid in the country, fastest football player in the country. Brandon Arrington uncle asks me and says, no, he's not. My nephew is. So we're having an uncle battle. And I go look this kid up and find out that he's 6'4", plays both sides. Actually ran a faster 200 than my nephew, Gleaton, who ran a 25.2, which is smoking, good enough to be on the Nike track club. Wow. My nephew ran a 10.1, ran a 10.14. Brandon Arrington ran a 10.2 at 6'4" and about 200 pounds. Nice. He's probably the most freakish athletic player in the country. Talking to his family, they love Colorado. So I think I was on the show. I don't even know where I said it at, but somebody, I was like, hey, y'all need to look for Brandon Arrington. Then it comes right out, boom, they offer Brandon Arrington. I ain't saying I had nothing to do with it, but maybe just a little bit of foreshadowing. But Arrington's family is huge on Colorado and the culture that they provide. So I think that's going to be one to monitor for the year, that when you see talking about a two-way player who can do it both ways, please go look at Brandon Arrington. Hell of an athlete.
Hell yeah.
With that, the portal is open, I think, until the 27th?
28th? Yeah, something like that. I think the day before the bowl game.
How many guys do you think will be entering the portal from playoff teams that are going to, kind of not miss that, or they'll miss that window, really?
Well, guys who lose this weekend could enter.
So, how much fallout do you think we could see from playoff teams that lose, down the line here?
A ton. There are guys right now who I know are looking at Colorado that are still playing. And some of these moves that you're seeing making, you got all these agents in the game, and you got handlers and mentors, or whatever you want to call them, that go between and say, hey, if my guy or if my client were to jump in the portal, would you guys have interest? And they go to all these different collectives. So a lot of these deals, just like they have the do not contact list in the portal, where they say, okay, we're going to jump in the portal, but don't contact us. Well, that means that you already know who you're reaching out to when you actually get into the portal. And so when you look at the Ohio States of the world, when you look at Tennessee, when you look at Georgia, these teams every year lose about 8 to 9 guys who become starters in other Power 4 environments. And this year will be no different. Now they're just keeping more of these guys on the team because they actually play. Guys who aren't playing, you'll see the majority of them go ahead and jump in the portal. The guys who actually play and want to leave, they're still going to be playing, so that's why you haven't seen them yet. But I would go on average to say at least the Power 4 school, the powerhouse schools, I would say between 8 and 10 on each roster. So you could have another, 90 to 100 players that are in the playoffs.
Yeah.
By the time it's all said and done, you can see another 100 players, another wave of high quality players in the portal, and and that's what a lot of schools are waiting on.
Cool. All right, Dukes, we appreciate you as always for coming on, man. Get better. I mean, we're kind of feeling it out here too. My throat is killing me.
We can tell.
It's brutal.
Boy, struggling.
Yeah, hang in there,
Man.
Dukes. We'll talk to you next week, brother.
Appreciate you, Dukes.
Hey, wait, man. See y'all, man.
Later,
Good looking,
Dukes,
bro.
Appreciate you.
All right. We will dig into the portal ourselves here. There's a lot to talk about. And what he just said with the guys enter, I mean,
Yeah.
you remember last year? It wasn't until, I think, after the national title game, right? Because Saban retired, and that's what kicked off everything. That's when Jed Fish got hired by Washington. DeBoer,
Right.
of course, to Alabama. Jim Harbaugh left. So there's still a lot more fallout that's going to happen here. Let's take our first break. Shout out to the homies over at Live Well. You guys living well?
Live well for L.
Live well for L.
Live well as Colorado as it gets. There's 25 of them out here in the great state. And they've got everything you need. I mean, edibles, concentrates, flour, everything. And you can also get a special deal when you walk into any Live Well out here. Mention the promo code DNVR25, and they'll give you 25% off select items. But they've been doing it for a long time. They're one of the OGs out here in Colorado, and they are not hard to find. You can also put your order in online. Go to livewell.com, check out their entire menu, get that order in, and then it's just a quick in-store pickup. Show your ID, pay, and you're on your merry way. Mention code DNVR25 in store and receive 25% off one regular priced item. Some restrictions apply, but shout out to the homies over at LiveWell.
Also, shout out to the homies over at Elevations Credit Union, home of the single sexiest credit card in world history. World history? Yes, world history. It's unbelievable. It's matte black with a shiny gold, almost like a gold foil buffalo on it. It's as good as it gets, and it's not just aesthetic, but it also is functional because you can use it to buy things. But also, when you buy things, it goes right back and directly benefits Colorado's NIL. So, if you want to get in on it, make sure you go visit buffscreditcard.com to apply and see the full card benefits and details. Again, that's the Go Buffs Visa Signature Rewards Card from Elevations Credit Union.
All right. So with the portal, I mean, KC, Kevin Concepcion was here, I believe, on Monday or Tuesday. And we've told you guys, he's going to take more visits. He's going to take his time with this whole thing. But is he the most important player, and is wide receiver the most important position for the Buffs right now?
I'm of two minds on this. Because one, I look at what we have and also what we have coming in. But, Omarion Miller is here. Draylon Miller is here. Kam Mikell is here. Terrell Timmons, I think, is a good receiver and has a lot to build on. There's even more guys who are still around. And then you add in Quentin Gibson. You add in Quanell Farrakhan. You add in Adrian Wilson. Like, that's a group. And I think that in a world where Colorado didn't add a big star, the side effect of that would be Omarion Miller becomes more of a superstar.
Yeah.
Like, that's like what I think will happen.
Right.
So part of me says, no, we're good there. Maybe you add this or that. The other thing for me, though, is that you do lack proven production over the course of multiple seasons. You've seen Draylon flash. You've seen O flash. But that would be it, pretty much.
Yeah.
And that is a bit scary. And I think if you're building a roster, you want to go in a little bit stronger and have a guy where you can say, yeah, but that guy prints catches.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen it, we know it, and he can do it. And that's where KC is such a big target. And, you know, I look at this with KC as Colorado came into this portal cycle with a few different targets. It wouldn't surprise me if KC was number one from the jump.
Uh-huh.
But now it's like, you know, to reference CFB 25, like you got all these hours that you allocated for the wide receiver position and only one wide receiver left. Like, whether it's hours on CFB 25 or dollars that you had allocated from the NIL to pay for a wide receiver, I think Colorado can put a lot of focus on Kevin Concepcion right now.
Yeah.
And that excites me. And so you would absolutely kill to have him come in here. But if you don't, I don't think it's a situation where you got to go get desperate and start taking guys and making exceptions for certain things that you know, or maybe below what you were looking for.
Mm-hmm. And Coach Prime talks about it too, and I think he mentioned it as early as this week. Like, you can't compromise, you know, what you're looking for in terms of guys coming out of the transfer portal. Like, you can't compromise your locker room just because you feel like you need to add somebody at a certain position, especially when it's at a position like receiver, like you so eloquently put, that has a lot of talent and a lot of young talent that has yet to really get the opportunity to be the guy. Like we've seen, you said, like we've seen Omarion, we've seen Draylon, you know, kind of flash in spurts, but me personally, I'm excited to see them kind of take on a bigger role and be more of a focal point of the offense, because I feel like on multiple occasions they've both shown that they are capable of being the guy or the second guy in, you know, a pass offense. And also, too, I think like this is different than it was, a different situation than it was last year, where you have Shedeur Sanders as your quarterback. You know you're putting the ball up in the air 40-plus times a game, and you need additional weapons, especially when you have a Travis Hunter who's going to be playing both ways. But this team, particularly offensively, is going to look a little bit different next year. They're not going to be as pass heavy. They're going to be more balanced. They're going to be using more 11 personnel with the tight end on the field. So I don't think there's a need like there was last year to go after and get a Will Shepherd, get a LeJontay Wester, because one, like I said, you have guys in your building already that you want to be able to put in a higher position. And two, this is just going to be a different kind of, I think, more ball control, balanced type of offense where you don't necessarily need three elite future NFL receivers, you know, right now who've already played 3-4 years of college football. So that's just kind of where I'm at with it. But yes, KC would be a huge get, and I feel like they're positioned well because, again, you haven't added any other receivers out of the portal. You know there's going to be a lot of targets coming your way if you're KC. So I think, like you said, he's going to visit other spots. He's very highly sought after, but I feel like KC could end up in CU, and if he doesn't, they'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty important to get him because of, I mean, what we talked about with Kaidon Salter yesterday, and what Dukes said about him. I mean, getting a veteran in that quarterback room, I think, was massive and was crucial for this team this offseason. And I think it's kind of the same for a wide receiver. I mean, you're absolutely right. They went after Will Shepherd early. He was one of the top available wide receivers at this point last year.
Yeah.
I think it was later, you know, I think it was right before the portal closed, actually. LeJontay entered, and then he stretched that out a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So there is still some time, but, you know, a lot of these guys have come off the board at wide receiver. There's some people who have entered. Idaho's Jordan Dwyer is a guy who's going to be interesting to look at. He was a standout player for them this last year, had 78 catches, near 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns. Virginia wide receiver Malachi Fields has recently entered the portal. He's had a solid career so far, but, you know, playing in a more open offense, I guess, I mean, could be more beneficial to him. And he's a big body, too, 6'4", 200 pounds. Kind of fits that Will Shepherd type of mold. So it's an interesting thing because of what we were talking about at the end with Dukes there. I mean, who's to say what happens if anyone loses in the CFP? Like, the coaching carousel may just be getting started, and the portal could just open for any of these guys, and all of a sudden, here come the dominoes again.
Yeah, absolutely. I just have to address a comment that I saw, which said it was like, KC pissed me off making TikToks in the locker room. We're good there. I got bad news. You're not going to like a guy named Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
You're not going to like a guy named LeJontay Wester. Ryan Williams, not your type. That's just the world we live in, man. That's the world we live in now. Man. These guys are making TikToks in the locker room. I don't know what to say.
Facts.
We got to get used to it.
But, yeah, to your point, though, too, Jake, like that's why I'm not really tripping, at least at this point, because there will be other opportunities. There will be guys enter who are currently playing in the college football playoff, and also that spring portal window. Like, there will be guys who enter the portal who aren't happy with their situation coming out of the spring, who will have documented production and that will want to, join what's going on in Boulder. So at this point, I'm not too worried about the receiver spot.
I have an item on my wish list.
Okay.
What's that?
I want a player to enter the portal with a no contact tag that's coming to Colorado.
That would be kind of cool.
That
We
would be
haven't gotten that.
Yeah.
I need that in my life.
Yeah. The chat saying earlier, I saw that, don't worry about wide receiver, invest in the offensive line, defensive line. They did invest in the defensive line. You got 2 big defensive tackles.
Yeah.
You have a center coming in. I mean, I think guard has been in position of weakness, the last 2-3 years under Coach Prime here at Colorado, so I think you could address that. But otherwise, to me, it's like wide receiver, running back, and then you just like kind of fill in spots already. Like, I already feel good about where this roster's at.
Yeah.
I would add DB to the list in terms of guys I would like to see added.
Safety for sure, yeah.
Yeah, but I agree with you generally.
And there might be an interesting loophole that can help the DB room.
Very true.
That is true. Let's get to it right now then.
See that? Teed you up.
Just an expert, bro.
Love a good segue.
Diego Pavia, our guy.
Yes.
CFB legend. Well, he sued the NCAA. So he filed a lawsuit in November against the NCAA, arguing that because the governing body counts JUCO seasons towards NCAA eligibility, that basically they're missing out on NIL money. So that was where the whole thing kind of started from. He ends up winning this. The ruling comes through yesterday. He's eligible again for another year. But it seems like this is going to affect all JUCO players. And there's been a lot of reaction to this. Steve Sarkisian had some interesting words about it.
What'd he say? I didn't see that.
He's like, there's going to be 28-year-olds
Yeah.
playing college football. Brother, there already are.
There are.
Literally, bro.
I think he kind of has a point because no, listen. Well, hold on. Let me get through this and then we'll get into that. But anyways, Diego Pavia wins the ruling. He's going to be back at Vanderbilt next year. But
Good
this
for him.
opens the door for JUCO recruits because basically they're saying if you come into, I don't even think it's FBS. I think it's any actual FCS upper level division of football.
Yep.
Your JUCO seasons are not going to count towards your eligibility. So basically you're coming in as a true freshman and you might be 20 years old.
Now, here's the real impact of this is JUCOs better be ready. Because
Yes.
there's going to be an insane influx of players going to JUCO.
Facts.
It's going to further devalue high school recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
And
100%.
if you can master this as a coaching staff, in the same way that BYU benefits from mission trips,
Yeah.
they'll have guys go on a 2-year mission trip, sometimes
Yeah.
even longer than that, and they come in as men when they set foot as a freshman. If you could almost I don't know, I'm sure there'll be protection against this, but you could almost turn a school into your feeder program. Whether that's the nearest JUCO to here, somewhere in Kansas, whatever it may be, that you're hey, look, we're going to send you this kid, but he's coming here in 2 years.
Right.
And have a constant stream of 20-year-old freshmen coming in, you'll have a huge leg up. But that's a lot of, dominoes falling one way or the other. The thing that I think is important about this is it gives guys an opportunity to get to the NFL, I think.
Uh-huh.
Now, 28-year-olds aren't going to have as good of a chance, but a lot of times these JUCO guys come in, they get to a school, they sit for a year, they only play for 1 year. Their tape is, good, not great, and it's just not enough to get them there. Mm-hmm. Whereas now you're going to have an opportunity to really grow within a program and maximize your potential in the game of football.
Yeah, I just wonder, and you kind of alluded to it, what it would do to high school recruiting.
And that was part of Sark's answer, why he didn't think it was going to work.
Why would you even recruit high school or kids that aren't, blue chippers, 5 stars if you're the program in a position to do that. If you can just go get a JUCO kid who's 19, 20 years old, who's played 2 years of college football, who you have college tape on to come to your program with the full 4 years of eligibility. That's just kind of the thought that came to my mind. But
well, and here's the other thing, and this will probably change. There's kind of been a cloud over JUCO recruits for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times it was an academic thing. A lot of time it was a legal thing that guys went there. You're going to start seeing guys who are just like low 3-star recruits just be like, I guess I'll go to JUCO.
Yeah.
100%.
And that might get a little messy, a little weird.
That's Sark's whole point.
Are you Team Sark here?
He is, man.
I am. I think,
I think I just don't like Sark, so I just read the
That's
quote
fine.
on a graphic and I just didn't like it.
but honestly, he's saying like, you know, players choose to go to play junior college football, basically. That's where we wanted to start and play our careers. I don't know if he played there or not, but he says, we're going to have guys 28, 29 years old playing college football. What's the point? I don't get it. I don't understand it. I totally disagree with it.
Well, let me tell you, Coach Sark, what's happening here. If you've ever thought of suing the NCAA, do it right now. Because they are just the Washington Generals out there in these
they're
lawsuits.
getting dunked on, bro.
Just left and right, spinning it, behind the back passes, under the legs, lobs.
Finger rolls.
Yes.
All that type of stuff.
They're not even putting up a fight anymore. If you want to sue that, is there anything that we could sue the NCAA for? Because if there is, we should do it. They're just laying down. I'm pretty sure they're just like, we are so sick of lawsuits, we're not even sending it someone over there.
Yeah.
That's wild.
We'll just take the L.
This could, in fact, affect Colorado's roster, and we will get to that on the other side of this break.
Nice.
Thank you. Shout out to the homies over at Empire today. The best in the game when it comes to getting new floors, whether it's your home or business. Can't beat them on quality service and speed. They've got their virtual floor designer. You can do it all online, or you can just schedule a free in-home consultation and have them check out exactly what they're dealing with and what flooring best suits your needs. They did the floors here in our studio, still spick and span, just as perfect as they were the day they came in here, despite how messy our team is and how often we move around the studio.
Messy Marvins everywhere.
Messy Marvins, man. Can't live with them. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive a $350 off discount when you use the promo code DNVR. Some restrictions apply. See empiretoday.com/DNVR for details. Do you see what you did?
Yes. Also, shout out to Bet365. So moving on the fly here. Broncos game tonight,
Yes,
as you
sir.
can tell by my attire. Thursday night football. Whether you're a Broncos fan or a fan of any team, Thursday night always hits different when you have action. It's really the only way, unless your team's playing, to get interested in a Thursday night football game. And it's always more fun. So if you haven't done it yet, go over and become a new customer at Bet365, and you can unlock $150 in bonus bets when you use the code DNVR365. That's code DNVR365. Deposit 10, bet 5. As soon as that $5 bet settles, you'll have $150 in bonus bets. Whenever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. By the way, 5-0 on bowl games.
Crushing it.
5-0 on bowl
Crazy,
games.
dog.
Must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
Okay, so as I mentioned, that JUCO ruling could absolutely affect Colorado's roster. I mean, just going looking at the roster, there's 3 players that stand out who have JUCO experience, who played significant snaps for CU. Preston Hodge, Phillip Houston, Kareem Harden.
Ooh-wee.
Preston Hodge, we'll just start there. If he can and wants to come back to Colorado for another year, what a huge dub that would be.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
I mean, we pretty much got a look at what it would look like when we saw against Arizona.
Yeah.
It was DJ, Colton, and Preston in the slot. And then Travis, came in on third downs, kind of played like a dime slot type
Didn't even play the second half.
Yeah. But we saw those 3 guys lock up a once potent passing offense. I don't know how potent it was this year, but, we saw that they had moments and they had games.
Fafita's back, too. Did you see that?
Yep. And so I was really comfortable with that group. And I thought they did a really great job. If Colorado didn't have to search to find their slot corner for next year, it would be a huge dub.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially when I was just talking about, like, DB would be the spot or one of the spots that I would say I would like to see some additions from the portal. But, yeah, if you return Preston Hodge back into the mix, and I feel like if that's a decision that he has to make. I feel like he would return to Colorado because similar to what you said earlier about the JUCO route, like if you have a guy who's in a situation where they're trying to get to the league and they have maybe good but not great film, I feel like that's kind of the situation Preston's in because he made some. He even had some impressive tape out there. Made some impressive splash plays this season, both in coverage, making plays on the football as well. But I don't know if, that was enough necessarily to get in the draft position that he feels comfortable with. So, I mean, again, it would just make a lot of sense to me to return and continue to work on your craft. And, again, that would be a nice secondary right there with those three corners. Carter Steinmeier probably one of the safety spots. I like how that would look a lot. That would be big time if Preston returns again.
And then those two offensive linemen, again, from an offensive line depth standpoint, Phillip Houston, I thought, made big strides this year. It would be huge to be able to continue to. And Phillip is going to be back next year anyway.
That's what I was literally about to say. I thought he was a junior.
Harden's listed as a junior, and then
both of them unlocking additional.
Right.
So is
eligibility
Houston.
Would not be bad.
Yeah, they're both juniors, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I think that they both could use just extra time to work on their bodies, work on refining technique because we saw there was offensive line problems this year, so there's room for everyone to grow. But yeah, getting Preston back would be absolutely massive, and would be there's a common theme coming here. We're in a year of transition, right? Losing Shedeur and Travis, and it seems like these vets coming in are coming here to like kind of hold down the program. You know what I mean? Like.
Yep.
Re-emphasize the culture and the standard here, and getting Preston back would just double down on that. A guy who played with Travis, a guy who's been in the program and was highly touted for the last year. So it would just be massive in more ways than one.
I think it's something just made me think about.
I'm just laughing because they're talking about the movie In Time again. It's like these guys just got another hour out of their clock.
Oh, facts. That is wild. But I think there's definitely something to keeping as many guys who played with Shedeur and Travis in the building as you can.
Yeah.
Just to kind of keep that, camaraderie and what they kind of built going and alive within the locker room, within that building. I think there's something to be said for that for sure.
On the flip side, who's kind of the JUCO poster child this year?
Diego Pavia.
After him. Actually, maybe even above him.
Who?
Kam Mikell.
Oh, yeah.
He started JUCO? I didn't know that.
Yes. So
wait, I thought he was Sac State.
Would not like him to. I'm pretty sure he has JUCO.
He was JUCO before that.
Yeah. Would not want him back in the Big 12, to be honest.
But it's kind of a game-changing ruling, honestly. So we'll see what happens.
Literally.
No, you're right. It was just Sac State. Never mind.
Well, there's so many guys like
unless hold on.
I mean, you've heard about it before for many years. I mean, JUCO recruiting used to be like the transfer portal. You know what I mean? Like, until the transfer portal was the transfer portal, that was like how you made it veteran additions to your team because before it was just really high school recruiting or waivers to transfer. So.
Right. No, it was just Sac State. I was wrong on that one. Speaking of Sac State, though, I only saw one tweet about it. Did they officially hire my guy Brendan Marion?
I just saw one tweet about it too.
So
but I'm not sure.
Not.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
At least not yet. I hope so.
We'll find out.
I texted our guy.
He was on my. Go ahead.
I texted our guy Todd Davis, who is a Sac State alum, and I was like, "This is the guy."
He was on my list last year around this time of top 5 candidates to take over for Sean Lewis as Colorado's OC.
Yep.
I would have loved that.
Yeah, that would have been a dope hire. But yeah, he's a hell of a coach.
All right, a couple more things. Let's do this one first. Julian State title game last night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's still just that one tweet about it.
Okay. I don't think he's completely healthy.
Mm-mm.
He doesn't wear gloves. I don't remember him wearing gloves, and then the last couple games he's been wearing gloves because of that hand injury.
Mm-hmm.
He did have some strikes. The second touchdown was an absolute dart.
Yes.
He did have some mistakes, but does not come away with the state title game.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. I think you're 100% right that he's dealing with something, and we don't know how serious that hand injury is, or even what the injury is, what finger, what anything.
Yeah.
But the glove was clearly there for a reason, and I'm guessing it's because there's a wrap on something, and so you lose your grip because of the wrap. You got to have the glove to help with that grip. Some of the downfield throws, you could just tell that's not the Juju that we've seen on tape over and over again, delivering, incredibly accurate passes in those situations. So it was tough for him. I was, if we're doing a post game show here, I would be criticizing the play calling heavily. And the offensive line didn't do him a lot of favors either.
Yeah.
But credit to Grayson, man. They
Great
are
football team.
Stacked and super well coached. It's kind of cool to hear about kind of the history of their coaches there, and that was they obviously have a new young coach there. So credit to him and congratulations to him. That was a well-earned victory.
Yeah, tough way for Juju and Carrollton to go out, but for Juju making the state championship 2 out of your 3 years as a high school starting quarterback, that's pretty damn impressive, and there's no shame in that at all. 2 things that kind of stood out to me. I watched 3 of the 4 quarters last night. That stood out to me about Juju. One is kind of similar to Shedeur, and one isn't really. One, and I heard the broadcast mention it, is that Juju really spreads the ball around. Like, he doesn't really lock into 1 or 2 receivers. Like, if you get open, you should feel good about the fact that you're going to get the ball in an accurate spot, in your area. And that's just something, again, when we're talking about multiple guys here being talented and active in this receiving group for Colorado, that's something that's going to keep guys happy and keep guys, playing hard and running routes all the way the right way as well. Another thing, too, which is kind of a bit unlike Shedeur. I know some people got annoyed with him at some times just of how he's oftentimes big game hunting, so to speak, where he's constantly looking for a big play, trying to extend plays and look downfield. Juju don't really do that from what I watch. Like, he's very comfortable taking really the check down, getting the ball out of his hands and allowing his playmakers to, get in space and make guys miss to create explosive plays. So that's something that's going to bode well for him at the next level for sure. And obviously he's going to be at the next level any moment, any day now. Coach Prime said today he might be in Boulder right now. Coach Prime said on, Romy Bean's show yesterday that, Juju going to be running the scout team against Colorado's #1 defense, and they're going to throw him right into the fire. I absolutely love that. And they're going to get an early look at him, see what he's really about, and I'm sure he's going to rise to the occasion.
And I'm not sure exactly what Shedeur has planned for his, pre-draft types of workouts, but even just a week where Shedeur can have eyes on what Juju is doing against that scout team.
Yes.
Walk over to him, put his arm around him and say, hey, you missed this, or make sure you're doing this, is so valuable to me, especially with that being someone that he really looks up to. There's just a difference between when a coach is telling you something and when your hero or whatever word you want to use for that.
They'll be teammates, technically. Basically.
Yes, I think that's great. But I also think there's a decent chance that Shedeur will train in Colorado leading up to the draft. Maybe not entirely, but some. And I think those guys will get a chance to spend some time together between now and April, and I think that'll be really, really valuable.
I mean, the DC connection, select QB, I can't imagine them not at least having a few workouts together this summer.
No, I think they'll probably be together a lot.
Yeah. I mean, that was the last thing we were going to go into. I mean, Mantrez Walker's here. Juju should be on his way. They
said on the broadcast that he had a 6 a.m. flight to Boulder after the game last night, win or lose.
I absolutely love.
Yes.
That is just purebred dog-like attitude.
I mean, he's already, given up so much. He'll never have a senior year of high school.
Yeah.
And so it just shows you how he's wired. He's not worried about that. Like, I remember just thinking, like, senior year of high school the last couple months was like the best thing. And I was thinking, like, man, you win the state championship, that party that night is going to go crazy. That's not how he was thinking or wired at all, and that's why he's a successful athlete, and I just sit on the couch and talk about it. But
he's different, man.
Probably a couple other reasons as well. But anyways, he truly is wired like that. And I think what's crazy is that Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter have that exact same wiring, and of course Deion Sanders did as well.
Exactly.
Facts.
It's just massive, though. I mean, it's kind of a – I don't think we had too much of it, obviously, in 23 because Coach was just hired and there was a lot of transition stuff going on. But I think you saw the impact of that last year. Coach Prime and the program loved to, boast the fact how many true freshmen they had playing this year. And it's because they go in, show up on campus, and get work done early and just get, like, the small stuff out of the way. Like, get all the assimilating into – okay, this is where I'm going to be. This is how I got to get here. This is what schedule's like. If you get that out of the way now, while this team is still in bowl practices, you're just going to be firing on all cylinders when it hits March and you're going into spring football and especially into the summer when fall camp starts.
Because at that point, when the season starts, when you're an early enrollee, you're not a freshman no more, really.
Exactly.
Because you pretty much had a whole spring, a whole, summer, a whole fall camp. And at that point, you're not really a freshman. We've seen it each of the last 2 years, and this year in particular with guys like Jordan Seaton, Draylen Miller, Michael Welch, enrolling early and getting, college football, the acclimation process down. And by the time the fall was rolling around, especially with, Seaton, and he's maybe a little bit different, he's a 5-star, but by the time week 1 rolled around, they look like they are more than comfortable out there on the football field underneath the bright lights. And I just love that. It's almost an expectation for these recruits here at this point that if you want to play, if you want to get here on the right track, you got to get in here early. And I love that they're making the coaching staff is making it a point to do it, and the players are taking that initiative.
All right, let's get to Super Chats.
Real quick, within the last few minutes, Shedeur Sanders was named a finalist for the Earl Campbell Tyler Rose Award, which, let me make sure I get the definition correct here. It goes annually to the top offensive player in Division I football who also exhibits the enduring characteristics that define Earl Campbell: integrity, performance, teamwork, sportsmanship, drive, community, and tenacity.
Oh, crazy.
Shout out to 2.
It's a sick-looking award, too, so
Fill it up.
hopefully we add it to the new wing.
The expanded Legacy Hall. Who's first, Alyssa?
And I think there's also a fan vote for that, by the way.
I think you're right.
Did
What
y'all
is it again? Earl Campbell,
Tyler Rose.
What's up, Scotty?
Did y'all see this thing this morning? Y'all probably may have. This guy named Mike Johnson. He's a former Alabama offensive lineman. He's on this show now. Seems legit, but he said on this show today, he said, I heard today from a really reliable source that there's a team in the college football playoff that is actively paying its players to stay throughout the playoff so that they will have enough people to practice with, and they're in the playoff. Think that's valid?
He's got to be talking about SMU, right?
Why you say that?
I mean, who's going to be like clamoring to leave Clemson and
Boise State?
Ohio State? I mean, it could be Boise State too, but it's not like Notre Dame is like having to pay their players extra to like finish out the playoff.
Yeah,
you know
maybe.
What I mean?
No, I hear you on that. Yeah, literally the first comment says got to be SMU, right?
Yeah, like
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. It's just crazy though.
that is wild.
Yeah, that
College
is
football's
crazy.
at a wild spot.
What's up, Heaven's Demon? He says, can we see a Kam Mikell versus Quentin Gibson race? I'm sure we'll see it at some point.
When you said, someone said, according to sources, it reminded me of just like a dumb idea I had when I was just thinking today. I was like, we should just do a segment on the show each day where we go, according to sources, Deion Sanders will be staying at Colorado for next season. Because everyone like thinks that they can break news on this.
Right.
Facts.
I've seen 47 different breaking news graphics about Coach Prime is set to stay at Colorado, or Coach Prime says he's going to stay at Colorado. It's like, how many times can this be news?
It's all a variation of this same thing. Of what he's saying. Like, it's just a variation of him saying, I want to be here and I'm going to stay here.
And he's been saying this since what, TCU? When did he say I'm about to get comfortable? Wasn't that after TCU basically?
I almost want to say it was after Oregon.
No, because they won that game, I thought.
Either way.
But I
ASU.
mean, dude's been, kind of hinting how much he loves Boulder, the community, CU, for literally like a year and a half now.
Like, he dead ass hasn't give anybody like an inkling of an idea that he's thinking about leaving.
Well, and then
I don't unless I'm mistaken.
No.
I don't think so.
when he was at Jackson, he did like a 60 Minutes interview.
Correct.
And was asked, you know, if you were offered a Power 5 opportunity, would you take it?
Mm-hmm.
And he said something along the lines of,
I'd be crazy if I
stupid
didn't.
or crazy not to.
Facts.
Like,
Yeah.
he was obviously interested. Now, whenever anyone brings up anything about leaving Colorado, he's just talking about how much he loves it here and how much he wants to stay here.
Yeah.
I
He's
know.
never said anything like that in that 60-minute
Yeah.
doc since he's been here
Exactly.
at Colorado.
Yeah. Meanwhile, people are just trying to fit a square peg into every round hole, trying to just put him anywhere they can.
Real spill, no offense. I did not know that Pac-Man Jones had a podcast until the breaking news of Deion Sanders telling him that he's going to stay.
There are some hilarious clips from that.
For real?
Yeah,
I haven't checked it out.
Pac-Man at one point sets him up so good. He's like, man, you look like you're feeling good. You look like you're feeling healthy. And like Coach Ron's like, yeah, thanks, man. Like, I am. And he's like, yeah, I noticed when you saw your ex and started running the other way.
Oh my god! Wow.
You know what's bro, we don't gotta get into it, but my sister actually said that to me. Like, I hadn't seen it, but she said it to me and we were rolling. That was so funny.
So good.
Crazy. Val Valentine asks, RK, what do you think about DNVR leading the fundraising for the CU Trophy case expansion? Case paid for by the Buff fans of DNVR with a small engraved nameplate.
I love it. But I think the school has generated quite a bit of money. I think they should be able to handle a little trophy room expansion.
Yeah. Kevin asks, did Alton hit the portal? I have no idea.
Oh.
Aren't they preparing for a bowl game?
Yeah, he's got a Fiesta Bowl, I think.
Oh, and I thought I saw Dillingham somewhere say that he's allowing guys to enter the portal and stay.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
Maybe that's actually due to what you're talking about, Jake, making sure that they have a full team to practice with. Or that was you, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know, though. I don't know what's going on with him. D-Mail says no more scout team reps at the Alamo.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
I don't know. Shout out to D-Mails, though. 5280 Ivan. Some names of someone still playing in the CFB who could surprise and enter the portal that CU could target, potentially.
Names of players in the college football playoff that Colorado could target.
Off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But
what Duke said, 8 to 10 probably each team. It's going to be damn near 100 dudes probably.
Well, and look, we did the draft pod today, and we kind of made our picks for the CFP this weekend. And I don't know how it's going to go out on Saturday, but if Tennessee beats Ohio State, could they fire Ryan Day? And if that happens, what?
Just the standard that Ryan Day is held to is so crazy to me.
Lost 4 straight to Michigan.
Yes, that matters quite a bit.
A lot.
But also, like, it's just crazy to me that there could be a job where, like, 10, 11 win seasons every single year isn't good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, Alabama's
Well,
probably
and
like
it's
that
why
too.
I think you're going to start seeing more coaches stay at jobs like Colorado or even like Kansas. Iowa State's kept
Indiana.
Matt Campbell forever. Indiana, because Coach Prime isn't a good example of this because I don't think he would ever be afraid of expectations or, what it would take, for to be like under the expectations of making the college football playoffs every year. But the job at Colorado does not require you to do that. I think the expectations are going to continue to rise and get higher because that's how all fan bases work. They expect it to be a linear, step-by-step process. You get closer and closer as you go. But, like, what kind of job is Ryan Day? It's basically if you don't win the national championship, it's a failure. Only one team gets to do that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, the so-called blue bloods programs, it's just tough coaching there, man. It's a different level of standard.
I had some sympathy for Ryan Day like 2 years ago, but that is waned. Like, he has one job, and that's to beat Michigan, and not doing it this year was pretty unacceptable. Like, that was low-key a fireable offense.
But
there was so much talk about how much money that roster was worth.
Yeah.
And we know the position that Michigan was in, that Harbaugh left them in. I mean, it's still a talented team, but not nearly on the level of Ohio State. And to lose 4 straight times, especially this time, I think it would be well within their rights if they lose to Tennessee that he's out of there.
To hire who?
Somebody who can beat Michigan. that would be their answer. And again, I hear you.
Gary Patterson.
It is unfair. And again, 2 years ago, I was with you. I'm like, they're holding him to an impossible standard. The dude wins 9 to 11 games every single year. But at this point, after that, performance, especially what folded after the game, with the flag stuff.
Sheesh.
I mean, I think, yeah. They would be within the right to let that man go if they lose to Tennessee.
I mean, he also chased off Kyle
I hate to say
McCord
it. Right,
Yes.
who went on to ball
and
this year.
attached this team's destiny to Will Howard.
Will Howard, which
Yeah.
was
crazy.
a questionable decision
Yep.
to say the
He
least.
chased off Quinn Ewers.
And again, I have a good friend who's a Ohio State fan, and all the talent that they've wasted without CJ, all the receivers that have come over there the last couple years. CJ
But
Stroud,
wasted is what? They didn't win a national championship.
yeah,
But
or
who-
beat Michigan.
But who did win the national championship?
CJ Stroud
those
didn't
years?
beat Michigan while he was at Ohio State. That's crazy.
That is crazy. I mean, the Michigan thing matters.
It does.
And it's why Colorado's fan base crashed out when we lost to Nebraska.
Yep.
Rivalry games are worth 10.
Yes.
But I'm just saying, you better have a damn good plan if you let go of a guy who is winning about 10 games every year. Because Nebraska thought that they were better than they were.
Yeah.
And they had Bo Pelini there winning 8-ish games every year, made it to a Big Ten championship game. And they said, nah, we're above this.
Yep.
And it turned out, no, you actually weren't. You're considerably below it. And then they started on the path of having the longest streak in all of Power 5 without making, or in all of college football, without making a bowl game that they just broke this year by winning 6 games. So everyone knows this in sports, but the grass ain't always greener.
Facts.
Facts.
And then they just lost a 5-star quarterback to the portal, Aaron Nolan.
That's true.
Not great.
That's true.
They probably lost half of the NFL was on their roster at some point at quarterback.
Yeah.
But who was the guy that was the starter? You know what I'm saying? They didn't have Joe Burrow, but they had Justin Fields.
Yeah. I mean, Fields was really good at Ohio State, but I hear you. Yeah.
He
Made it to the national championship, right?
I think they won a bowl game or a
lost
CFP game
to Clemson in a heartbreaker in the CFP. I remember.
Okay.
In the final.
I don't think it was a
Okay.
final.
It was a semi.
Either way.
That was that controversial Jeff Okuda fumble or whatever I think it was.
Oh, that was the championship then.
Was it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, super chats. The man right Chia says, I hope Colorado goes after Georgia redshirt freshman D lineman Jaw Jarrett. Yeah, we've talked about him. Yep, still available.
Big fellow.
How many defensive linemen do we need though?
More.
All right, fair enough. Thank you for the super chat. Ronell. FYI, players on playoff teams get 5 extra days from the end of the season to hit the portal. Keep up the good work, squad. Thank you, Ronell.
Scott.
Scott. East Coast Kev says, what's up? I'm just shouting you out, by the way. That movie RK was talking about yesterday, I think is called...
No.
It's not Inception. It's not Inception.
In time.
In time.
you got
There
it
you go,
right.
Kev. There you go.
I would watch that again.
Shout out Kev. I might have to.
I think I cried at the end though.
I don't think I watched it in its entirety. I saw bits, big chunks of it, but I didn't see it from start to finish.
It's got a very dramatic ending.
I think I've seen it. Debbie says, Scotty, thanks for adding some squad to the Colorado media average age photo.
I got you, Debbie. Appreciate
No.
that.
Ceremony photo.
I had to add some seasoning, some flavor to the photo. You feel me? So I was very happy to do that. Appreciate you noticing, Debbie.
My favorite photo I've ever seen of Scott. Robert says to address
Wasn't
the topic.
enough season.
Address the topic with Shedeur moving on. 25 Buffs will likely be more balanced on need more offensive line, road graders, another tight end, a big-time running back, and another big play wide receiver. Agreed?
Yeah.
All right.
Don Peasy.
Peasy.
Great show per usual. Any news on Branch to see you? I haven't seen anything on Zachariah Branch. Where's
Because
headed?
we're manifesting, yes. Everything is pointing towards him becoming a Buff.
Sources say
Exactly.
that everything is pointing towards Zachariah
The sources
Branch.
in my head that are there to manifest say Zachariah Branch will spurn Oregon to be a Colorado Buffalo.
I did see, though, there's another Big 12 team potentially in play for him.
We got Texas Tech.
Right?
No.
Okay, good.
ASU.
Yeah. They've been getting some visits from receivers.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We'll see where he decides.
I mean, all you got to do is get an official visit.
True.
Who was
Same might be true for Arizona State, though, having walked around that campus.
Yeah.
Was it Jonte Cook who Gorney reported that?
Because of
Salter.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then Jonte Cook commented saying they don't want me.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
It'd be interesting.
What a time to be alive. The transfer portal is crazy.
Yeah, man.
It's crazy to think back and like not to. This is not hate on any of the old heads, but like back in the day, they just used to like print out. Like the paper would just say what the recruiting class was at the end of it.
Yeah.
And you just be like, oh, okay, these are the guys we got.
Yep.
Now, like, literally every step of the process is entirely public.
We know too much.
Yeah.
Now.
It really is crazy.
We know way too much.
Seriously.
Enough for everyone to start picking and clawing at people's relationships. And
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I honestly almost wrote when you said, what do you want to talk about today? And I was about to say that. And then I decided, you know what? I feel like it's starting to move out of the news cycle. Let's just let it.
Hell yeah.
Let those people live their lives.
I pride us on not having talked about that on this show.
I agree, but it's just like it was starting to become so mainstream.
It's just not worth it, bro. I don't
You're
think
right.
it is, at least. Alrighty, chat. We'll be back tomorrow. I saw a lot of people asking where Unk is. Well, he'll be back tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
The quad pod, is that what we are?
Quad pod
is
tomorrow
back.
on a Friday. Whew.
Yes, sir.
Vibes are going to be immaculate.
It's gonna be a great time. We'll see you then. Go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.